Hi, this is Jake, and I run the chess club at the Creston-Dement Public Library, and welcome to another chess video. Today is going to be my first attempt at talking about a chess opening, starting with the Queen's Gambit. Now, I'm no chess master by any means, but I feel I can explain some of the general ideas of the Queen's Gambit, as it is one of the openings that I personally play. If you have decided to watch this video after watching the excellent Netflix series of the same name as this opening, you might know that the Queen's Gambit starts with d4. But my only real complaint with the show is that they called this move the Queen's Gambit, which it is not. This is simply a queen's pawn opening, and you can play other openings from this position. The true Queen's Gambit is after d5 from black, white plays c4, offering black to take a free pawn, which is why this opening is named a gambit. A gambit is giving a piece away for free in exchange for something else. Now, what is white planning to gain in exchange for the pawn? If black accepts the gambit by taking the pawn, black no longer has two central pawns, and white can easily control the center with a move like e3 or e4. We'll cover the e3 variation of the Queen's Gambit accepted, as it is a bit simpler. You should notice how advancing white's e-pawn opens up an attack on black's pawn on c4. The Queen's Gambit is not a true gambit, as black cannot defend this pawn. If black does try, by playing bishop to e6, black locks down their own position, preventing them from playing e6 and easily developing this bishop. So if black wants to try and defend the position, the only good option is b5. But this option is not very good either. White can immediately attack b5 with a4. And if black takes, white can simply eat up all of the pawns. First a4 with check, and then c4, winning back the pawn and controlling the center. So, black may want to try to continue to defend with c6. And now white is able to take on b5, with black retaking. But by doing this, black has opened up the long diagonal to their rook, and white can play queen to f3, attacking the rook. Black's only option to not lose their rook is to offer up another piece, with knight to c6, which white can take with check, but after black blocks, black's rook is now defended, and the queen has to retreat, but white has won a knight in exchange for a pawn, a worthwhile trade. It's this reason why black instead usually prefers to fight in the center of the board and decline the gambit, which is aptly named Queen's Gambit Declined, and to do so reinforces d5 with the move e6. Now, if white takes, black has a pawn to defend and still has a central pawn. However, white usually doesn't take right away. They tend to follow with knight to c3, adding another attacker, and also developing their knight. Black usually plays knight to f6, adding another defender, and developing a piece to a good central square. After the first knights have come out, now I like to exchange pawns, trading my c-pawn for one of black's center pawns, which will allow more central play for white in the midgame. After black retakes, bishop to g5 develops the bishop to its most active square, attacking and pitting the knight on f6 to black's queen. Black usually doesn't like this, so we'll unpin with bishop to e7. As white, it's now time to start developing our king side, which our e-pawn is currently preventing. So e3 to reinforce the center and unblock our bishop. Black is now able to castle, and will probably do so. And white should now develop the white squared bishop to its most active square possible. c4 not being possible, as the pawn will simply take. And b5 will be met with c6, pushing the bishop away. Now we could play to a4, but this bishop is pretty sad, looking at a well-defended pawn. So, instead of having that, the most active square for our bishop right now is simply d3. Black will likely play c6 to reinforce their only remaining center pawn. And as white in this position, now with your bishop active, you can form a battery with your bishop and queen with queen to c2, attacking black's h7 pawn. Just be careful with the knight on f6, as it is defending this pawn. Black's best move is to play knight b to d7, reinforcing their knight on f6, just in case you thought of this idea. But now, they can replace the knight and continue defending h7. So if black properly defends from the idea of taking his knight on f6, we will continue to develop as white. The last piece to develop is our knight, which has two good central squares that it can go to, either f3 or e2. I prefer to place the knight on e2, as it doesn't block our f2 pawn from advancing. For example, if black plays rook to e8, white castles, black plays knight to f8, and now white is able to play f3, with an idea to eventually play e4 and attack black's center. In this position, we have solidly left the opening and entered the mid-game. All pieces develop to central and active squares, and our king is safely castled. We have ideas like f3 and e4 coming in the mid-game to attack black's center, and we're already eyeing black's defenses with our bishop and queen to try and take advantage of any slip-ups black might make. But unfortunately, that's all the time we have for today. Don't forget to visit us for another chess video. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you and your king stay safe.